Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Rev.
And welcome to What Yacht To Do.
Yeah, we're going around America's Great Loop aboard the Here's To Us.
Yes, it's a 504 cockpit motor yacht, and we have almost completed 4,000 miles.
My
Just
goodness.
about close
I can't
enough.
believe it.
Today, we have two purposes in mind. We're going to tell you about our short journey from Fort Myers Beach.
Short but painful.
And down to Marco Island. We're getting ready to stage to head to the Keys. And then also at the end of this video, a lot of you have been asking questions. So we're going to cover the questions that we have now, just the questions. And then we're going to ask you to kind of email us any other questions you have. And then we're going to do a frequently asked question video series for y'all. All right. So let's see what not to do, what yacht to do, and what not to do, what not to tie. All right. See ya. All right, you may remember we had to get hauled out, and now we are ready to go. All the planets have aligned, the weather is good, so we think to head down to Marco Island. So we are departing Gulf Marine waves.
I would say the weather was manageable. Not great, just manageable. What would you say?
I'd say the boat can handle it better than we can.
Where we were at Gulf Marine, if you've ever heard of Doc Ford's, that fantastic seafood restaurant, it's just within walking distance, fortunately, of where we had to stay. There were a couple of restaurants, actually.
Yeah, and as we went out past Doc Ford's, there's the Mantassus Bridge. Going under that, and we're going to pass Moss Marine again on our left.
Yeah, if you remember, that's where we stopped to get the cheap fuel. It wasn't worth it. Just for the record, I'm putting it out there. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Had we known that we were going to hit something, probably wouldn't have done that. But
definitely.
You never know what's going to happen one day on the Great Loop. So here we are going by that. Now I have put a warning on Captain, active Captain, about the shoaling there. And you will see we're coming out. It is lower tide, so we're being a little bit more cautious. It's not low tide. It's actually on a rising tide.
Yeah, that red marker was underwater. I mean, it wasn't on the beach up there when we went by the first time.
Yeah, and you can see that green marker is definitely out of place. I left that green marker on my port side. It should have been on my starboard side, but I was sounding through there very cautiously. So definitely you want to pay attention going into Fort Myers Beach. And here we are now.
Yep, flipped around.
Out about a half mile off, and the seas look manageable, as Rev says.
And look, if you look out there at the water, it doesn't seem bad at all. But look at me trying to record, trying to stay in the seat, and the boat just, it wasn't an even ebb and flow kind of situation. It would hit us from all different sides unexpectedly.
Yeah, and then the waves did kick up a little bit. The waves are actually coming on our stern.
Look at that!
A little bit.
Oh my goodness.
The starboard stern, so it was kind of a nasty and annoying.
When I was sitting up there, I could hear things falling down on the floor below in the salon. I couldn't. It was hard to walk at that point, so I just let it do its thing.
So Rev has modified her first mate checklist to tighten down a few more things in the cabin.
Definitely.
And also we took a look at some of the things in the bridge for rougher seas that we're going to have.
Well, that looks pretty rough right there. I mean, look at the way those waves are going.
It's actually not as bad as what it looks there. It is the fact that we are sitting about 14 feet above the water where we are right now. And
we made this turn, though, from the Gulf into heading into the channel in Marco Island.
Yeah, so as you're going in here, there is a warning for shoaling. In here, you have to hug the reds. So look at it on active Captain. Start hugging the red at the fore. And then as you come into the channel...
And what do you mean by hug the red, Sam?
Get close to the red. Leave the red on my starboard side, but get close to it. Rev was calling out the depth for me. Great first mate duties there. She was calling out the depth as I was steering.
Yeah, and then we made it to the marina at Factory Bay. They put us out on the T head. The marina's pretty full. They have some really wonderful amenities like free laundry. That was awesome. And they have great Wi-Fi at the clubhouse. I didn't really use the Wi-Fi in the slip, but the clubhouse was fantastic.
Yeah. Got some Mexican food.
Yeah, we got to recover from our 3-hour tour of rough water out there. So that was our reward.
And also get ready to do some planning, wash the boat off, get some of the salt off of it.
Right.
We're heading out the next day, and we're planning to go direct to G1 at Key West, so we'll see how that goes.
Fantastic.
So our stay from Fort Myers Beach to Marco Island. All right, for the second part of our video here today, we are going to present you with the opportunity to ask some questions.
And we are so thankful for you and the questions that you have asked so far, because so many of them are questions that we had before we started the loop.
Yeah, so the source of these questions are mainly from crew email that people send us, and they get a private response on that. And also there is the comments section from the YouTube. And what else?
There's also Facebook.
Right.
We get them from there, and the blog. Right.
Yeah, so we've been collecting these questions, and a lot of them have been answered a number of times. So we thought, well, it's time to do a video on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to flash up on the screen 3 categories of questions about the boat, about the journey, and about living aboard. So let's take a look at each one of them, and then if you don't see your question on there, you can kind of freeze this video. You can jot it down, and at the last slide, I'm going to tell you how you can get your question to us so that we can include it in our series of frequently asked question videos. All right, so our first category, you can see questions there about the boat, about the fuel, the engines, the navigation systems, what features, are we happy with the boat, insurance, how much does it cost for repairs and maintenances, and things like, oh geez, do I need a water maker, how much fuel does it hold, all the way down there. So a number of questions on that. So if you don't see your question on there, or you want to have a little bit more information, get ready to send us an email here. The next one
is the journey. And so any question that you may have about doing the Great Loop, or what you can expect during that loop. Yeah, I mean, the questions are so varied, from do you need paper charts to what's your best or worst day on the loop?
Yeah, and do we ever run the boat at night? And there was one time where we had to run the boat at night, and I think many of you have seen that, the crossing video. If not, you may want to take a look at that.
And then the last category is living aboard, because living on a boat is so different than living at your house, and you have so many things to think about, to consider in planning and getting ready for doing a trip like this.
Yeah, so whatever questions you have, and don't be shy about asking them. One of the questions I like is, among the other boats we've cruised with, many of them had guests on board, and we'll tell you our answer about having guests on board. And then another one that I liked there too was, we're so excited, but sometimes I think I've lost my mind.
Yes.
Do you ever feel this way? So yeah, there's a lot of emotions about doing this, and don't be afraid about asking those things.
So if you have a question about living, just basic question about what it's like to live on a boat, that's the category you would use.
So now that you have your question written down and you'd like to submit it, what we'd like you to do is follow these instructions. Is go to your email and send us an email, crew, what you ought to do. But be very important, put in the subject line either one of 3 things: question about the boat, question about the journey, question about living aboard, because that will help us sort it. We'll use some software to sort those questions and get them in the right bin. And we'd also like to know a little bit about you if we haven't met you in the past. If you have a boat, your boat name, your boat type. And if you don't have a boat yet, that's okay. Just tell us a little bit about you, and if you're planning to do the loop, or what your situation is. Of course, we're not going to share any of that personal information in the video. We just like to know our subscribers so that we can help them better.
Sometimes we use first names and sometimes we use boat names to answer questions, but that would be it.
Yeah, that would be the extent of it. So,
well, thanks for joining us on this short, bumpy trip. And if you do have any questions, please submit those at crew at What Yacht To Do.
Yeah. And remember, it's what yacht to do, what you ought to do, or what not to do. See ya.
Bye.